Hey everyone, today we are going to be doing percent word problems. So we did basic percents where we talked about finding the missing part, finding the missing whole, and finding the percent. So finding the missing part is where we're going to do the percent as a decimal times the whole. When we're trying to find the whole, we use the percent proportion. Percent over 100 is equal to is over of. And then to find the percent, we're going to do part divided by whole times 100. You are still allowed to use a calculator for all of these things, except now we're going to be reading through some real world scenarios and setting these up in a very specific way to help us solve them. So example 1 is finding the percent. So we're going to be doing part divided by whole times 100 once we get there. The first thing we're going to do, and the way we organize these word problems, is I've got 4 boxes here. I've got the parts box, the percents box, and the whole box. That's going to be our setup of information. And then our solve the problem box is where we're actually going to do the part divided by a whole times 100. So I'm going to read the problem, and then we're going to break down the parts that are in the problem, the percents that go with them, and then the whole. So it says, Courtney performed at the school band performance, but she also showed up 45 minutes late. The entire show was 125 minutes. What percent of the show did Courtney perform in? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break this problem up into 2 parts, and those 2 parts have to add up to the whole. Now in this problem, it's the whole show. Courtney performed in a show, so the whole is going to be the entire show. It says Courtney performed at the school band performance, but she showed up 45 minutes late. So she performed in some of the show and did not perform, or missed some of the show. I'll make it easier for myself. So she performed in some of the show and she missed some of the show. And those 2 parts, the parts that she performed in and the parts that she missed in, are going to add up to the whole show. Now my parts box and my percents box represent the same thing, only one is going to be represented by minutes and the other is going to be represented by percents. So I'm going to have performed and then missed. So I've got all my boxes filled in with my 2 parts and then my whole. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to put the numbers that I need with each of these things. So Courtney performed at the school band performance, but she also showed up 45 minutes late. The entire show was 125 minutes. So there's the whole show. She showed up 45 minutes late, means that she missed 45 minutes of the show. And if I do 125 minus 45, I get 80, so she performed in 80 minutes of the show. That's all information that I can gather without having to do anything with the percent yet. Now the percents add up to 100, but they didn't give me any percents in this problem. It says, what percentage of the show did Courtney perform in? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a question mark by perform, because that's the thing that I'm trying to find. What percent of the show did she perform in? Now I'm going to grab a highlighter, so I'm going to use my green highlighter down here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the question mark, because the thing that I need to find is extremely important. So I'm trying to find what percent. Now I highlighted the word performed. So in the parts box, I'm also going to highlight the word performed. And then the other thing that I need is going to be the whole. So now I'm going to solve the problem. I'm trying to find a percent. So I'm going to do part divided by whole times 100. So I'm going to do 80 divided by 125, not 45. When I do 80 divided by 125, I get 0.64. And then I'm going to do 0.64 times 100 and I get 64%. And remember, because I'm finding a percent, I have to give a percent sign with my answer. This is finding the percent in a word problem. So the question asked me to find the percent of something.